So the developer livestream just happened, guys. This was the big one with Barb buffs, Sorg buffs, and just in general what's coming for Diablo 4 in the future. So we had the first thing that was revealed right here was a Barbarian item unique change. Oh, it was right here, no? To the Hellhammer. So this is the old Hellhammer. Like, they're gonna change uniques in general on Barb, but they gave this one example of Hellhammer, which is, well, not that insane right now. Like, first glance, like, this is a super useless item. My yellow weapon, actually, like, just in-game, if you have like a yellow weapon, it can be better than a Hellhammer, basically. And they changed 2 stats on it. Crowd control to crit, which is a buff, it helps. And yeah, enemies to critical. Like, I don't really know, like, that's just not enough. The burn is a bit higher, but this burn damage doesn't really do anything. So this is still a useless item, I think. There's like no way it's useful like that. And most of the Barbarian uniques are kind of bad already. And I don't think this fixes it. And it also doesn't make Upheaval viable, in my opinion. But we'll see. There's some other really good changes. Temerity, the Temerity pants. Let's see if I think I have one actually. They get quite a bit more damage improvements. I hope that's gonna work well. Like, they have like 4 very bad stats right now. Here I have one actually. Actually a perfect roll. So this is Temerity right now. It has like 2 super useless stats. It's gonna get like max life and some other defense now, which is gonna help it by a bit. But yeah, those Hellhammer changes I don't feel are enough. We got a bunch of Sorg changes, but I will skip over those. It's gonna looking pretty nice for the Sorcerer. It felt we got like unique changes, we got like some fireball changes for Sorcerer. But the main thing we want to get into is the Barb stuff here. And I think there was like kinds somewhere around here. Okay, so here are the first Barbarian changes. We're gonna go Bash, Flay, Frenzy have their Fury gain increased by like 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to help early game, and again, this can scale with like various resource multipliers and resource generation affixes, such as a resource generation on your ring or rallying cry, and these kinds of stuff. So it can definitely scale up. See, a resource generation and in general rallying cry or Wrath of the Berserk, it scales it all up. So it goes up a bit, but I don't really think it's going to be impactful late game. But this is definitely going to help in the leveling part of the game, like 1 to 50, where the Barbarian was kind of the weakest class together with the Druid, and this is a really solid buff to all of that. Yeah, then we're gonna have double swing damage buff. This is actually pretty decent, from 40 to 50%. It's definitely gonna make double swing a bit better. We have Rupture, damage increased from 45 to 70. I feel like Rupture is still so underwhelming after all the nerfs and changes they've done to Berserk Ripping. But definitely a change in the right direction. And then this is a change here, Charge. Damage from 30 to 60. This is a double. Times 2 damage. So this one I'm actually really looking forward to. We're gonna try out the Charge Barbarian with the new Legendary as well. That has some potential. And they also have the vulnerable increase here. So that also helps quite a bit. Let's see if we have the next slide. Hope we didn't miss one. I think this is the next slide. So Violent Upheaval, this is the rune that currently in the game. Violent Upheaval like doesn't really give you much. It gives you Berserking if you hit more enemies. But now what they're adding is they're also putting this out to work on bosses, pretty much. So this helps quite a bit, at least. We'll see. I don't think, like, with the Hellhammer change being that weak, that Upheaval is viable. But it's gonna make it a bit better, so step in the right direction. I still think we need, like, you know, on the Hellhammer, what I would have wished for is it gives like plus ranks to skills. You know, like we have on many of the other weapons. I don't think I kept it actually. But on Fields, okay, actually I did. So on Fields of Crimsons, we have this like +6 ranks to Rupture. And I feel like that wouldn't hurt to have on Hellhammer, right? Like +6 ranks to Upheaval. It just feels so bad without it, man. So I don't know, like, I think they could have done a bit more on the Hellhammer part. And then we have Aggressive Resistance. Okay, it's gonna give us slightly more damage reduction. I think this is the one that gives damage reduction from elites, right? No. Aggressive Resistance, what is it even? These are all damage buffs. Battle Fever is also nice. When we search here, damage reduction. Defensive statue. Hello? Zerg damage reduction. Oh, it's this one. Okay, yeah. I was like checking here, but that was the wrong one. Okay, yeah, so a bit more damage reduction while berserking. This helps. It gives us, instead of 9, we go to 12. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Gushing Wounds is actually some buffs to the Bleed Barb and Rend Barb. That was very needed. I don't think Overpower does much here, but still some good changes. Unconstrained, this is the key passive. So these are both the key passives. Unconstrained is going to get a buff to 35%. This is a very welcome change. And yeah, Gushing Wounds is going to get a 15% buff as well. That's going to help the Bleed Barb for sure. And Walking Arsenal is also going to get not a damage buff, but more duration. So yeah, these are good changes in the right direction for sure. It's going to help out quite a lot of the Barbarian builds. If we have the next slide. I think they talked about everything for like a few minutes. This is like just first reaction recap. I'm probably going to do a deep dive as well at some point and test all this. Then they have the Fields of Crimson. Fields of Crimson, again, if we go in-game, is this one here. They're doing some changes to it. They're increasing the damage. They're increasing the damage that enemies takes in the pool. But the thing is, they removed the Rupture cooldown. The Rupture cooldown actually allowed us to like perma-rupture. Look, it had 13 cooldown. And when you upgrade this one, it goes up to like 20% cooldown reduction from Rupture. So this is actually a nerf. Like they reduce they remove the cooldown, and now they give it crit damage, which is like, okay, it scales of Gushing Wounds, but effectively it's a nerf, man, because 20% cooldown in a game where all the cooldown rolls are reduced by 30% was so huge. Like this is how we could do perma rupture. If you guys remember on Lilith or on the Bleed builds, we could do like every second we could cast Rupture. And now we are losing like 20-something% cooldown reduction because of this. So yeah, I think this is gonna make the Rupture build even weaker right now. And it was already not strong, trust. So well, we'll see. Hellhammer changes, we talked about that. It would be really cool to see +6 ranks to Upheaval or something useful on this. I still feel like the unique effect almost doesn't do anything. But yeah, we'll see. Ramalaldi got a slight buff here. That one's really nice. And now physical damage affix is replaced with vulnerability. See if I have one. I don't actually know if I kept one Ramalaldi. Oh, I did. We only keep the 0.3. So the physical damage is gonna go away and we're gonna get vulnerable. That's pretty good. 100,000 steps. Bonus evade charge damage against stunned. Yeah, that's good. I don't think it's still great because it still has this ICD. Like every 30 seconds you can cast a ground stomp. I don't think it's good enough. And then we have the battle trance. You can't see this properly. Battle trance, a basic skill damage affix replaced with cooldown reduction. That's nice. That definitely helps. Bonus attack speed to other skills. This is the frenzy one. I mean, this is definitely a good change. Cooldown reduction now and more attack speed to other skills. 45%. It's still not gonna buff Frenzy, so Frenzy Barb is still not viable, guys. Don't get your hopes up. But it's definitely better. this legendary now. I think I missed one slide, kind of. There was one more slide to... Oh yeah, this one here. So we're gonna get a couple changes to... Let me open my stuff. So Ancestral Force, because I don't know if I have all of them in-game right now, handy. We can just go to my builds. Let's go to Hoda Barb. Because Ancestral Force is actually gonna change it a little bit, right? So the Ancestral Force that they talk about here is the Quake one. So we're gonna get Quake damage increase from 50 to 58. Which is like nothing because the damage got half before. A Death Wish. Remember, that's like some Thorn stuff. Thorns while berserking. Okay, we're gonna get some like 10% more-ish, a bit more than 10% Thorns damage. Yeah. Unrelenting Fury. This one was heavily underused. I think it's still bad though. Do we have it here? I think it's here, right? Yeah. Like, I have not seen anybody that uses this. So it's good that it gets a buff. But I feel it's still not great though. Like, it's not gonna make it viable. Ancestral Charge. This is one of the new legendaries. I think it's weapon, right? So this one is gonna be interesting for Charge Barb. Again, we have double damage for charge. And this one goes that our Call of the Ancients also spawns charges for 125% of normal damage. Yeah, we're gonna test that, man. That might be pork. Charge Barb is definitely there on the list. Burning Rage. This one does burning damage while you berserk. Not really that good. And here's the next one. Leap Barb. Probably a lot more viable because we're gonna get 25% damage reduction and 25% damage bonus in these earthquakes. So, basically no changes to Whirlwind. Like no buffs really on the Whirlwind part. Basically no buffs on Hoda. I mean, yeah, this is a very slight, but man, there's not really anything. But we're gonna get a slight buff to Thorns. We're gonna get slight buff to Earthquake. And we're getting potentially a charge build, finally. Double damage to charge. Maybe it's gonna make it somewhat viable. And yeah, we'll see. That's the Barb stuff. I want to talk about some of the general stuff. I made some notes here. Because it's just a lot of talk in the stream. Which is good, it gives you a lot of context. But just here is like the nitty-grit. The essence. I think they showed... so what they plan to do is increase monster density by 30%. And yeah, we're going to test all the Barb... I don't know where the image is. We're going to test all the Barb stuff. Okay, here it is. We're going to test all the Barb stuff on stream on the next days when it comes out. We're going to theory craft a bit. We're going to theory craft a charge Barb. I'll probably make another video about these upcoming potential new Barbarian build. I think this is the old density. And this is the new one. Okay. But here we're talking about some general updates to the game. Obviously, there's a lot of changes to the other classes. I might make a separate video about that. But TLDR, Necromancer, Rogue, and Druid also got a buff. So, in terms of general scaling, the other classes are even higher now, and Barb gets like slightly higher. But the meta builds, which is Whirlwind and Hoda, are unchanged. But Bone Spear and other classes like Rogue just go even higher. So, I kind of expected a bit more for the Barbarian class. It's a step in the right direction. We'll try out the changes before we judge, and then we'll see. But let's talk about some general stuff that's coming to the game. And that is monster density in, I should say that, Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide. Oh my god. It's going to be increased by 33%. So you can see the screenshot here. This is currently in the game, Nostrava Deepwood. And after the changes, it's going to look like this. So I think it's about 33 to 50% more density. Right? I don't know, what would you guys say, chat? We probably have collapsed this. I counted the dots. 60%. Oh, man, big service. Okay, so I'm going to correct this. About 60%. And this will also mean that we're going to get XP increase by 60%. So I could do level 1 to 100 in 18 hours. And it's now going to take, I don't know, about 12 hours, I think. Right? Something like that. So yeah, XP, density, and XP is going to be increased. And this density increase actually leads to more benefits because you get more Barb procs. It's going to be insane, actually. You get more Barb procs. You get like easier shout procs. You get easier cooldown reduction. You get more area damage basically from Barb. You get more Fury when you spin. So it's probably going to buff everything by even more than 60%. I'm thinking about this now. It's going to be pretty insane. Monster density is a big thing. Then they talked about legendaries. So they're going to add guaranteed legendary drops. Every time you kill a dungeon boss. Every time you kill the Butcher at level 35 or higher, like when they are level 35 monster level, you're going to get a 100% chance for a legendary. The same goes for a Legion event, 100% chance for legendary. The same goes for all the treasure goblins, starting at monster level 15, 100% chance for a legendary. So it's actually pretty big. Guaranteed legendaries from all these things. Then we're going to get a +1 stash tab. Again on 1.1. The patch is going to come out on August 2nd. Which is Wednesday, the patch notes. Sorry, only the patch notes. Next week on Wednesday, we're going to get patch notes. And patch 1.11 is going to come out on August 8th. This is Tuesday, the following week. So we can do a lot of theory crafting once we have the full patch notes, but this is a very good preview, what I went over. We're also going to get 40% reskill cost reduction. So whenever you reskill and you switch builds, you see it costs 60k. It's not going to cost 60k anymore. It's going to only cost like 45k, right? But that's a really good change. The Leave Dungeon button is now 5 seconds. Like when you press your wheel and you press Leave Dungeon. It goes from 5 seconds down to 3 seconds again. They changed this up to 5 seconds for some reason, and now they're reverting it. Thank God, good change. They are going to remove 3 Nightmare Dungeon affixes. The Resource Drain on the keys. So when you open a key here, I don't know if I have one. But they're basically going to remove the most annoying affixes. Oh, here we have. Monster attacks from a distance burn % of your primary resource. So this is going to get removed. The Cold Enchant is going to get removed. And the Backstabber is going to get removed. Those 3 are gone. That's one other big change. Then we had some Q&A. They talked about a lot of things, but on a lot of things like VRAM leak, overpower mechanics, zoom, resistances. They're going to look into all of this, but there's no ETA yet. Mounts getting blocked by barricades, they are looking into that. They're going to improve the mount experience, but they didn't really change when. And imperfectly balanced on the Necromancer, like you right now you can't assign points in imperfectly balanced. That's going to get changed in the patch. But that's basically all the core takeaways I had from the Q&As. Unless chat has some big ones from the Q&A, I think that was basically it. But overall, the Barb changes a bit underwhelming. I'm looking forward to play Earthquake and Kick. And also they mentioned Dust Devils and these kind of legendaries that spawn new effects. They mentioned that they're gonna look into that. So we'll see. Leg is legendary. Legendary item, yes? And that's it. Yeah, the Dust Devil that spawns like twisters, tornadoes when you will win. They might buff these, but they haven't really given us any numbers. So yeah. But yeah, there's a lot more changes to the other classes coming. We will look at them now as well. But that was basically the Barb changes and the impact. We're going to test all of that in the next days. I'm still looking forward to it a lot. I hoped for a bit more, man, because Whirlwind Barb and Holder Barb is still so much weaker than other classes. And other classes like Necro and Rogue, they got a buff to their strongest builds. Like Bone Spear got a buff with better Recence generation. Rogue got a buff with better healing and stuff. So I still felt a bit more on the conservative side on Barb for sure. I would wish they do some more crazy stuff. You know, especially like the Hellhammer and this kind of stuff. Like some of it just felt underwhelming, I feel. Like it just wasn't enough from my perspective. But we don't want to judge too early. We're going to test all this. And we'll see how it's going to go. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little overview. A lot more content coming. Take care. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.